The second day of live fire drills around Taiwan. Virtual scam prevention tool to be offered by all banks. And Wangfuk Court residents plead with Chief Executive John Lee to rebuild on the site. Hello and welcome to TVB News. I'm Melissa Hekalea. The People's Liberation Army continued its Justice Mission 2025 exercises around Taiwan, conducting live fire drills for a second day. China said the exercises are necessary to safeguard national sovereignty and territorial integrity. Nasvi Karim with more.
China unleashed a live fire show of force as part of its Justice Mission 2025 military exercises off Taiwan. The drills are designed to cut off supplies to the island from Japan and nearby US bases in case of a conflict, demonstrating Beijing's ability to deter any external armed support. The PLA's Eastern Theater Command sent destroyers, frigates, fighters and bombers to the waters to the north and south of the island to test its ability in sea-air coordination and blockading. Its ground forces carried out long-range live-fire drills in the waters to the island's north and also organized live-fire training. This alongside simulated long-range joint strike with air, navy and missile units in the waters to Taiwan's south, achieving what command spokesperson Li Shi called desired effects. Taiwan Civil Aviation Administration was notified that 7 temporary dangerous zones had been set up around the strait. On Tuesday afternoon, its 4 international airports showed over 100 international and domestic flights had revised times, delays or cancellations. While Beijing sends warplanes and Navy vessels towards the island on a near-daily basis, the scale of these exercises escalated tensions between both sides. China has vowed to seize the island by force if necessary. Chinese Defense Ministry spokesperson Zhang Xiaogang said the drills served as a stern warning to Taiwan independent separatist forces and external forces without naming any countries. The PLA Eastern Theater Command also released an AI-generated promotional clip. It has a high-altitude eagle swarm which transforms into drones, an underwater shark swarm that becomes unmanned underwater vehicles, a mechanical wolf swarm and units of humanoid robots which aim to enhance combat effectiveness and reduce personnel casualties. The Global Times cited analysis saying the clip signifies that the PLA's operational concepts are keeping pace with the times and that its new type combat capabilities continue to grow. Nazri Karim, TVB News.
Foreign Minister Wang Yi slammed U.S. military sales to Taiwan amid a second day of drills around the island. Wang is the most senior Chinese official to comment on the sales so far. He said in response to the continual provocation of the Taiwan Independence Forces and the U.S. large-scale arms sales to Taiwan, we will, of course, strongly oppose them and take countermeasures. On relations with the U.S., Wang said China would not yield an inch on issues involving its core interest, but shows an open attitude to develop relations with Washington through dialogue. When asked for his views about Beijing's drills around the island of Taiwan, U.S. President Donald Trump had this to say.
Well, I have a great relationship with President Xi, and he hasn't told me anything about it. I certainly have seen it, but he hasn't told me anything about it, and I don't believe he's going to be doing it.
Does it worry you?
No, nothing worries me.
But
nothing.
Starting tomorrow, all banks in Hong Kong will implement the Hong Kong Monetary Authority's Money Safe service. Customers of the banks can use the service to set up something like a safe within their bank accounts and prevent designated deposits from being stolen in scams. Timothy Lee reports.
The Hong Kong Monetary Authority recorded close to 36,000 cases of fraud over the first 10 months of this year, accumulating losses of up to $6.4 billion. In a bid to combat the tide of scams in the city, the HKMA announced the Money Safe service at the end of April this year. The service had been gradually adopted by the city's banks, with all banks set to use the system by this Wednesday. Bank customers can designate specific deposits via the internet or at the bank to be protected by the service's virtual safe. When customers need to use the protected deposits, banks will need to conduct a face-to-face anti-scam verification. The entire process lasts 1 to 3 days. Arthur Yoon, the deputy chief executive of HKMA, said the service could grant customers access to the deposits in just 30 minutes, but stressed that would defeat its original purpose, adding that a longer verification would benefit customer safety. The HKMA said overseas bank customers can access the protected deposits under a special mechanism which allows for a faster process. The MoneySave service applies to current accounts, time deposit accounts, and pertains also to foreign currencies. As of the middle of this month, the service already has more than 3,200 users, protecting some $1.6 billion worth of deposits. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Over 100 residents of Wangfuk Court in Taipo have signed a petition to Chief Executive John Lee requesting the rebuilding of the housing estate on the original site. The government said it's currently collecting different opinions from the residents and will make recommendations as soon as possible. Samantha Lee reports.
More than a month after the deadly fire at Wangfuk Court in Taipo, the future of nearly 2,000 residents remains uncertain. 117 affected residents sent a petition to Chief Executive John Lee and other officials, saying Wangfuk Court is not just a housing estate, but also the home of its residents. Many residents have lived here for so many years, supporting each other and becoming like family. They request the government to rebuild on Wangfuk Court's original site, allowing them to return to their familiar place and continue living peacefully with their families and neighbors. The residents who signed the petition came from all 8 blocks of Wangfuk Court. The government said it has received a letter, and the chief executive has instructed the head of the Emergency Accommodation Arrangements Task Force, Deputy Financial Secretary Michael Wong, to study and propose different long-term solutions. The government said it is listening to and summarizing the different opinions of the disaster victims. Based on the actual situation of Wangfuk Court, including structural safety, technical feasibility, and community planning factors, the government will conduct a comprehensive assessment and make recommendations on long-term solutions as soon as possible. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
New public hospital service fees are set to take effect on New Year's Day. A&E departments will charge a standard fee of $400, except for patients in critical or emergency conditions. Samantha Lee again.
Starting this Thursday, the fee at A&E department in public hospitals will be raised from the current $180 to $400, with exemptions for patients in critical or emergency conditions. The fee hike may put off many from going to emergency rooms. As an alternative, family medicine clinics under the hospital authority, formerly named as general outpatient clinics, offer evening services, but their hours are short on weekends. For example, 6 clinics in Shamshui-Po district are only open until 10 p.m. on weekdays and until 5 p.m. on weekends and public holidays. Moreover, it is usually difficult to make same-day appointments. Private clinics offer another option. According to the government's primary care directory, 3 doctors are found to provide consultation until 11 p.m. during weekends in Yaoqingmon district. 1 doctor belongs to a medical group. The medical group's representative said the rise in A&E fees may increase their evening patients by up to 10%, but the group will not extend its opening hours. He said patients who usually visit A&E wards and those who regularly consult private doctors may represent 2 different groups. Therefore, he believes the fee hike is unlikely to significantly change the behavior of patients. Lawmaker Rebecca Chan suggested that the authorities should increase both the transparency and the quotas for evening appointments in family medicine clinics. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
The hospital authority said 15 family medicine outpatient clinics will provide service on New Year's Day. Among these clinics, 3 are located on Hong Kong Island, 5 in Kowloon, and 7 in the New Territories. Patients seeking medical help can make appointments through the telephone booking system or the mobile app HAGO. Still ahead, Donald Trump warns Iran not to restart nuclear program. 2 dead as U.S. military attack purported drug boat and dock. And property managers sentenced to 18 years in prison for stealing more than $60 million. Welcome back. U.S. President Donald Trump said he would attack Iran again if it's proved that Tehran is reviving its nuclear program. Trump made the comments after a meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who was Trump's guest at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. Iran's president said its response to any attack would be harsh. Nazvi Karim has more.
Wearing identical-looking suits and ties, for a split second it was difficult to tell which one was President of the United States. It became clear soon enough. U.S. President Donald Trump welcomed a fawning Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to his golf resort in West Palm Beach.
I'll say it again and again and again. We've never had a friend like President Trump in the White House. It's not even close.
Well, I just want to say that it's very important who the Prime Minister and President of Israel is, but the relationship's been extraordinary, and Bibi's a strong man. He can be very difficult on occasion, but you need a strong man. If you had a weak man, you wouldn't have Israel right now.
The delegations then sat down for lunch and talks, with Netanyahu expressing concerns that Iran may be rebuilding its nuclear capabilities after Trump sent B-2 bombers to take out their facilities earlier this year. They also discussed the Gaza ceasefire deal, which is in danger of stalling. Gaza authorities say more than 350 people have been killed by Israel since the ceasefire went into effect in early October. And Hamas has yet to lay down arms, with the establishment of a Palestinian state looking a long way off. The 2 leaders spoke to the media after the meeting.
And speaking of Iran, I hope they're not trying to build up again, because if they are, we're going to have no choice but very quickly to eradicate that buildup. It hasn't been confirmed, but if it's confirmed, look, they know the consequences. Consequences will be very powerful, maybe more powerful than the last time. Well, we talked about Hamas and we talked about disarmament, and they're going to be given a very short period of time to disarm. And we'll see how that works out. But if they don't disarm, as they agreed to do, they agreed to it, and then they'll be held to pay for them.
Netanyahu has long been accused of trying to drag the U.S. into a war with Iran on Israel's behalf. And Iran's foreign ministry spokesman, Ismail Baghai, earlier urged Trump not to fall for it. He said it is up to American officials to fix this image and show that they are sincere in the claims they make about caring for regional and global peace. Nazvi Karim, TVB News.
The U.S. is offering Ukraine security guarantees for a period of 15 years as part of a proposed peace plan. This, according to Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky. Also on Monday, Donald Trump had another phone call with Russian leader Vladimir Putin, which was described by the White House as a positive call. During the call, Putin told Trump that Ukraine attempted to attack the Russian president's residence with long-range drones almost immediately after Trump and Zelensky's meeting in Florida on Sunday. Trump told the media that he was very angry about the attack, but Zelensky denied the Russian claim, saying it was an attempt by Russia to manipulate the peace process. The U.S. military said it struck a boat suspected of carrying drugs in international waters in the eastern Pacific Ocean on Monday. According to the U.S. Southern Command, 2 people were killed in the operation, and the American military personnel involved were not harmed. Separately, President Donald Trump claimed that Washington had hit an area in Venezuela where boats are loaded with drugs. Asked if the CIA had carried out the attack, Trump refused to get into details. This strike targeted a remote dock that the U.S. believed was being used by the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua to store drugs and move them onto boats. China condemned the demolition of a monument honoring the Chinese community in Panama. Erected in 2004 with traditional Chinese architectural elements, it stood at a scenic overlook near the Panama Canal. Large excavators were seen tearing down the monument, which commemorated 150 years of Chinese presence in Panama and celebrated Chinese workers who helped build railroads and the Panama Canal. Xu Shuyuan, the Chinese ambassador to Panama, said this monument, which held 171 years of life, blood, and dedication from the Chinese community, has been shattered to pieces. Even Panama's president, Jose Raul Mulino, said there was no justification for the barbarity of the demolition by the local authorities and vowed to rebuild the monument. A property manager at a Chungkwano residential complex has been sentenced to 18 years in jail for stealing over $60 million from the owner's corporation. The 53-year-old defendant, Wang Wai-lung, earlier admitted to 5 counts of theft. The offenses spanned from 2011 to 2021, during which Wang was a manager of a property management company, and he was in charge of Choi Ming Court. He repeatedly manipulated the owner's corporation checks by adding an extra zero to the amounts and forging documents. He was arrested in 2021 and admitted to committing crime to deal with gambling debts exceeding $10 million. Although he returned some of the funds, the corporation still suffered a loss of over $58 million. Considering the large amount involved, the court deemed it necessary to impose a deterrent sentence leading to the 18-year prison term. Amidst concerns about the cancellation of the New Year's Eve fireworks display and its effect on Hong Kong's hotel and restaurant business, some in the tourism sector hope authorities will promptly announce Lunar New Year arrangements, allowing them to better prepare. This, as Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism Rosanna Law believes that the city could resume firework displays as it gradually returns to normalcy. Timothy Lee tells us more.
Paying respect to the victims of the Taipo fire, the government cancelled the annual fireworks display celebrating the arrival of the New Year at Victoria Harbour. Its replacement, a live light and music show, is set to be held at the pedestrian area of Chade Road in Central. Speaking on the decision, lawmaker Yu Pak Leung from the tourism constituency noted many in the sector understand the government's choice, but noted its negative impact on businesses. He added that some tourists will likely cancel their bookings for hotel rooms and restaurants that provide a view for the fireworks display. Yu hopes authorities will promptly announce arrangements for the fireworks display during the upcoming Lunar New Year, which can allow businesses to make suitable arrangements. Meanwhile, Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism, Rosanna Law, stressed the New Year's Eve fireworks display cancellation was decided out of respect for those who suffered in the Taipo fire. Regarding the Lunar New Year fireworks show, she said the resumption of fireworks display may be allowed as the city gradually returns to normality. Speaking about concerns of the Taipo fire diminishing the city's tourism figures, Law noted that there was instead a surge in overseas tourists on Christmas Day, reaching a daily record of 51,000. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
The Housing Authority announced proposed rehousing arrangements for the redevelopment of Saiwan Estate and Ma Tau Wai Estate. According to District Council documents, Ma Tau Wai Estate, which is over 60 years old with 2,075 units, will be redeveloped in 2 phases. The first phase will involve the demolition of the 2 buildings. Affected residents will move to the reception estate at To Kwa Wan Road and the newly developed Mei Tung Estate starting in 2028. This will reduce the overall relocation time from 14 years to 7 years. The government estimates the number of units in the housing estate will double to about 4,000 after redevelopment. Regarding the nearly 70-year-old Saiwan estate, authorities proposed a one-time demolition and relocation in 2029. The redevelopment will add 460 units to the estate, bringing the total to 1,100 units. Hong Kong held the equestrian event successfully during the Beijing Olympics in 2008. The city has since been making progress in the sport and has developed a team of athletes competing and winning medals at international competitions. Two members of the Hong Kong Jockey Club elite squad shared with TVB Straight Talk program the state of the sport.
Historically, I would say in dressage at least, Japan and Korea have been more up there, but right now we're really climbing up. If you see our recent results in the Asian Games 2 years ago and the Asian Championships just now, we were team medalists, so we're definitely getting up there. And we don't have the population numbers, for example, that many of these other countries have. So perhaps we're not quite at the level of European countries because it is kind of a newer sport in our Hong Kong's history. But I would say we're really competitive at the Asian level for sure.
I think we have a great crop of talent.
Right.
And because the sport is developing so fast in the mainland, we have a lot of riders that, who live there and can represent Hong Kong. So I think once the Jockey Club realized that we have such a crop of talent there, and because, most of the senior team is in Europe, some of them are in Hong Kong, so they needed somebody to also look after the kids over in the mainland. And so I've been going in and out to sort of check on them, in some ways to kind of mentor them and share my own experiences.
British heavyweight boxer Anthony Joshua is in stable condition in hospital. His promoter said he was in a car crash in Nigeria that killed 2 people who were close friends. Footage from the scene showed Joshua wincing in pain as he's pulled from the wreckage of the car crash. Eddie Hearn's Matchroom Boxing said on X that Joshua sustained injuries in the accident and was taken to hospital for checks and treatment, and he will remain there for observation. It named Sina Gami and Latif Ayodele as the 2 passengers who had tragically passed away. The crash occurred on a major thoroughfare linking Ogun State to Lagos, the country's economic capital, at about 11 a.m. local time on Monday. The vehicle reportedly hit a stationary lorry after attempting an overtaking move. That's the news. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.